Hey everyone, it's me, Andy.
And I'm Sean.
And this is the Commander's Brew.
This week, Temur, top of the library.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching us here on YouTube. If you want to help out the Commander's Brew, you know what to do. It's very simple. Just go ahead and hit subscribe or leave a comment if you've already subscribed. That'd be great. If you want to get involved more directly, check out patreon.com/commandersbrew, where you can get involved very directly and help us make the show. Get involved in our Discord there as well and help us brew these decks up. We're going there every week, getting a ton of help and having a lot of fun over there. There's a bunch of different stuff happening. So check us out, patreon.com/commandersbrew. All right, well, we're going to get into the deck tech this week. Sean, what are we working with?
Okay, so the theme this week, it's Temur, top of the library. So let me start with the main ways that that's going to be the thing. It's looking at the top of our library. Let's start with Vivian, Monsters Advocate, 3 green, Planeswalker, Vivian, she's from Ikoria, the new Ikoria 1. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. That's what we want. You may cast creature spells from the top of your library. That's also great. She's got a couple of other abilities, making 3/3 beasts with stuff on it, or -2, when you cast your next creature spell this turn, you get to tutor up any creature with lower CMC and put it straight into the battlefield. This is a very powerful commander, and that's, she's a little bit pricey, like $8, but I think worth it for that top of the library. We're also talking, so that's creatures. She's got creatures covered. Mm-hmm. We got Mystic Forge, 4 mana for an artifact. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may cast the top card of your library if it's an artifact card or a colorless non-land card. Excellent. That's how we got artifacts covered. We can also tap and pay 1 life to exile the top card of your library. That's a very key ability. We love that ability in this type of deck because we often want to change what's on top if we don't want to cast it or we can't cast it. I'm also looking at Precognition Field. It's a 3 and a blue enchantment. You may look at the top card of your library. That's the theme. You may cast the top card if it's an instant or a sorcery. So now we got creatures, artifacts, colorless non-artifacts, and instants and sorceries. We can pay 3 to exile the top card of our library with this. It's a little bit more expensive. And rounding us out, Rada, Heart of Keld, 1 red, green, Elf Warrior, 3/3. As long as it's your turn, Rada has first strike. You may look at the top card and you may play lands from the top of your library. We got it all now.
We got it all.
The only thing we don't have are planeswalkers, so if we hit Vivian, we can't do anything about it. And we don't get enchantments. There's nothing to get enchantments off of these. But there's, besides Precognition Field, that's very rare.
Wait.
We'll get to that in a bit.
One thing I love about this, what we're seeing so far, is that it's all just look at the top of your library.
Yes, you may notice that I've left out Future Sight. I do not run Future Sight. That's the enchantment that says play. You may play the top card of your library. That would be perfect and no restriction. However, it says play with the top card of your library revealed. I don't want to do that. I don't like, Oracle of Moldiah, the same deal. You play with the top revealed, you get to play extra lands. That would be great in this deck, no doubt. Also $30, but I don't want it because your opponent's what's on top? What's on top? Okay. Table. Are we all cool with that? Do we all know that Sean's got this on the top of his library? Okay, let's all remember that. It's I don't want the whole table tracking my whole game.
Yeah, especially that guy with that weird voice. I don't like the way he says that stuff. Get out of here.
That guy. I'm always playing with that guy.
If you added white, there is a way to do enchantments. But anyways.
Oh yeah, no white in this.
No white in this deck. We're talking Temur colors here.
It's Temur.
Yeah.
So who's the commander, Andy?
Ooh, who is the commander? Well, like we said, we're talking Temur. So Riku of 2 reflections, 2 green, blue, red, for the 2/2 legendary human wizard. This is such a classic commander. Recently reprinted with Double Master, so that price is coming down a little bit. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you can pay blue-red. If you do, copy that spell. You may choose new targets. Whenever another non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, you can pay green-blue. If you do, create a token that's a copy of that creature. Love this card. Such utility, it's such bonus. Try not to get caught in the Riku, I don't know what to call it, but like the Riku mindset, because sometimes you get to the point where you're like, okay, I want to cast this spell and it's really good, but if I wait 2 turns, I can do it with Riku, and then I can double it up. It's like, no. You should probably just play your stuff, and then the Riku's a bonus. Am I right? Like, am I right about this? Right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's usually how it works with Riku. But sometimes you just can't help just being like, ooh, look how good this would be. Like, So yeah,
I know.
It's so greedy to do
feeling.
that, and you will feel that way whenever you play with Riku. But if you can stave that off, actually, Riku gets even better because you're not as leaning on it as much. But I love this commander. One of the classics.
Yeah, thanks to the reprint, down to like $10 from like 30 or so. So Wizards, thanks.
Wizards,
reprints.
Thanks. Okay.
So should we set the scene for the deck?
Yes.
Let's start with some vegetables. Obviously, we got some ramp, we got some card draw, and by the very nature of ramp and card draw, that does change what's on top of the library. We can often look at it and see what it is, thanks to all of the abilities that let us do that. But we're looking at recurable ways in addition to some of the normal ways. One of my faves is Elvish Reclaimer. It's a green for a creature, Elf Warrior 1/2. It gets +2/+2 as long as there's 3 or more land cards in your graveyard. That's pretty easy. But also, here's the key. 2 tap, sacrifice a land, search your library for a land, put it into the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle your library. It doesn't actually ramp you, but it's a great way to change what's on top of your library, especially if that land you go get is Halimar Depths. That's probably going to be our first land to grab with this guy. It's a land that enters the battlefield tapped. It taps for blue, but when it enters the battlefield, you can look at the top 3 cards of your library and put them back in any order. So now I can set up my next thing. If I know it's like, well, maybe I don't have Rada, so I can't play lands off the top, but I can play creatures, so I'll make sure the creatures are up there, or vice versa for my next turn. However you want to do it. It's very helpful for this sort of thing.
Really cool.
Yeah. Who's our next vegetable?
Our next vegetable is Dreamscape Artist. 1 and a blue for the 1/1 human spell shaper that says pay 2 and a blue. Tap, discard a card, sack a land, search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, put them onto the battlefield, shuffle your library. I freaked out about this card several times, and I will once again that this card is in blue, that it is a harrow on a creature. You do ramp, it's on a creature, it's repeatable, and it's blue for some reason. And this was part of the Planar Chaos, I think that's what it was, when they gave colors different abilities, which is like, honestly, how stupid. Oh, hey, the thing that makes Magic so good, let's just ruin it. Anyways, so Dreamscape Artist is our blue ramping, repeatable ramp creature.
Yeah, and like sacking a land, getting 2 lands, you've only gone up 1 land, but you've taken 2 out of the deck, and quite often when we care what's on top of the library, thinning out the deck is something that helps out in the long run. Incremental gains. Mm-hmm. And then lastly, this is a cute little vegetable here, Treefolk Harbinger. It's a single green for a 0/3 Treefolk Druid. When Treefolk Harbinger comes into play, you may search your library for a Treefolk or a forest card, reveal it, shuffle your library, and then put that card on top of it. So, if we have to put a forest, it's like, oh, I need to hit my land drops, I need to get another forest. Great, I can do it that way. Do you hear my cat meow?
Yeah, we can hear. That's all right.
Frankie loves to sit in front of the closet and just meow at it.
Let me in there. There's coats in there. I know it.
I think she wants to sit in like a coat pile. I think she loves that kind of thing. Where was I? Treefolk Harbinger. But the beauty is we can search for a Treefolk and put that card on top of it. We do have one other Treefolk in the deck. That happens to be Woodfall Primus. 5 green, green, green for a 6/6 Treefolk Shaman. It has Trample. When it enters the battlefield, destroy target non-creature permanent. And it has Persist. So when it dies, it comes back with a -1/-1 counter. And guess what? We get to destroy another non-creature permanent. Yeah.
Pretty sweet.
I think so. So those are our vegetables.
Yeah.
And I think, are you ready to get into some neat moves?
Working on a
Neat.
Yeah, there you go. What's our first neat move? Well, I'll tell you. It looks like we're going to be using a favorite when it comes to like land type stuff and playing stuff off the top of our library. Mina and Den Wildborn, 2 red, green for the legendary elf ally 4/4. You may play additional land on each of your turns, which is always great if we're playing lands off the top of our library. And say red green to return a land you control to its owner's hand. Target creature gains trample until the turn. This is going to be key again, like to get the lands off the top of our library. We can bounce that Halimar Depths to reorder our stuff if we so desire. So that's a nice little combo, just being able to bounce that back. Maybe give our what's it called? Our Woodfall Primus a little trample. Or does it already have trample?
It already has trample.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Rada, though, like, you can, I didn't read the ability, but Rada can get +X based on the number of lands you have. And with the amount of ramp we're doing, sometimes she's like a 12/12, so giving her trample is pretty good with Benedin and First Strike that Rada already has on your turn. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. Being able to play extra lands is very key because that's usually what stops us from continuing. We're able to play a bunch of stuff off the top, but we hit a land and we're like, well, I can't do anything with it. I'm not allowed to play it again. And I'm out of effects that let me shuffle it around. Being able to play more lands, very key.
I had a sweet move in Historic where I stole someone's Wayward Swordtooth and with Claim the Firstborn and played the extra land off the top of my deck from Bolas' Citadel, got it out of the way, and then like went on a huge tear of playing stuff. It was fun.
Very nice, very nice. I want to highlight another neat move in this deck. Another way we're going to be able to look and play cards off the top is with Vizier of the Menagerie. 3 and a green for a 3/4 Naga Cleric. You may look at the top card of the library. You may cast the top card of your library if it's a creature card.
Frankie?
Yeah, I think we're just going to open the door and let Frankie in because that's all she wants. Vizier of the Menagerie lets us look at the top and play creature cards off the top. The bonus is we get to spend mana as though it were mana of any type to cast creature spells, which is very cool. So imagine the world where we have Vizier of the Menagerie or a way to cast creatures, and we have Momir Vig, Civic Visionary. 3 green blue, Elf Wizard, 2/2. Whenever you play a green creature spell, you may search your library for a creature card and reveal it. If you do, shuffle and put that card on the top. If you play a blue creature spell, reveal the top card. If it's a creature, put it into your hand. So if you play a blue and green, like the green one where you search and shuffle is a May, the blue one is not a May.
Right.
So if we have any green but not blue creatures, Momir Vague lets us search them up, and they go to the top of the library.
Right.
Vizier of the Menagerie lets us cast them from the top, and since it's a green creature, we get to do it again. So we get to chain all of our little vegetable-y green creatures and just
fun.
go bat, 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 bat. So like that, the Treefolk if we want to. Some fun ones to grab. It's fun to grab a Spring Bloom Druid, 2 and a green. It's an Elf Druid. It's a 1/1. And when it enters the battlefield, you do another Harrow. You sacrifice a land, search for 2 basics, put them onto battlefield tapped, and then shuffle the top. When you do the
I was gonna say,
will that ruin the thing?
will that ruin your chain? Because you cast it, and that's the Momir trigger. And
so
then when
this
it
one
enters,
ruins the chain.
Yeah, that one does. Yeah.
This one ruins the chain. I got excited about mixing a vegetable in this section of the show. But it doesn't, Zoologist doesn't ruin it. Zoologist is a 1/2 for 4, 3 and a green. It's a druid, and it has the ability, 3 and a green tap, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature card, put it into play. Otherwise, put it into your graveyard. it's a risky move if you don't know what's on top of your library. But if you always know what's on the top of your library, you just wait until like, oh, I've got something that costs 8 mana up there. Cool, I'm just paying 4 for it. Also, in an extreme case, you can pay the 4 to reveal a non-creature that you already know isn't a creature, and then just have it go into the graveyard. So to have something else on top of the library.
Right.
Like if you really need to. So it's a very cool card in this deck.
Very cool. The next neat move we have here is, I don't know how you say this, Huatuo?
I think so.
Huatuo. Honored Physician, 1 green for the 1/2 legendary human. It has tap, put target creature card from your graveyard on top of your library. Activate this ability only during your turn before attackers are declared. So you have to do it in your first main phase. You can still do it at instant speed, but you have to do it before the combat step, I guess. Anyways, that will obviously grab a few things from your graveyard to throw them up on top of the library there. Brutalizer Exarch is another cool way to do something similar. 5 and a green for the 3/3 creature cleric. It's when it enters the battlefield, you choose one. Search your library for a creature card, reveal it, put it, shuffle your library, put it on top, so you can just kind of tutor for a creature this way. Also, like if you don't need to do that, it also has the ability of put a target non-creature permanent on the bottom of its owner's library, so you can deal with a pesky non-creature permanent if you need to with this guy as well. But it's nice to be able to like kind of search something up and throw it on top of your deck.
So between Huatao and Brutalizer Exarch, we can dip into the graveyard or from our library and put any creature on top. So, Andy, will you continue? What if we have this creature on the battlefield?
What if we had Deceiver of Form, 6 and a colorless for an Eldrazi? That's an 8/8, and at the beginning of combat on your turn, reveal the top card of your library. If a creature card is revealed this way, you may have creatures you control other than Deceiver of Form become copies of that card until end of turn. You may put that card on the bottom of your library. So you can make all the creatures turn into whatever the creature is that's on top of your library.
Right, so Huatao has to work before combat, and Deceiver of Form works once combat starts. It's the perfect pair.
That is perfect.
You just take the like a cool creature in your graveyard that you might want to duplicate a bunch of times, and then you just put that on top of our combat. And Deceiver lets you put that card on the bottom of your library after it's done its job. So you don't have to keep it there if you don't even want to draw it. I mean, if it's that cool to copy, maybe you want to draw it, but whatever you want to do.
There's also Conduit of Ruin, which is 6 mana, 6 generic mana, no colorless necessary here, for the 5/5 Eldrazi that says, when you cast Conduit of Ruin, you may search your library for a colorless creature card with converted mana cost 7 or greater, reveal it, then shuffle your library and put that card on top of it. The first creature spell you cast each turn costs 2 generic less to cast. I know this card well. I thought when this card came out, I was like, man, this is going to be a big commander card. Six like generic mana is pretty easy to get to. You can search up a massive card, tutor for it if you want, but also this ability that just cuts the first 2 off of the first creature you cast each turn. That's really good. That's really good. You're taking a 7 mana creature and you're making it cost 5. And anything that big is going to have that much generic mana that, lessening it by 2 is always going to work basically every time. So yeah, this card is weird. It's like a thing that like ramps you later, but when you're jumping from that like 6 to 8, like that's a big jump, and that's the jump that sometimes is hardest to make in Commander. So and this isn't just a thing that's some artifact that sits there. Like it itself is also a 5/5.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah. And if Conduit of Ruin, if we already have our Deceiver of Form, or maybe like I'm happy to grab a Meteor Golem.
Perfect.
That's a 7 mana colorless thing.
Perfect.
It's a 3/3 for 7. When it enters the battlefield, destroy any non-land permanent an opponent controls. And I want to point out, these are also all castable from the top with Mystic Forge, who refers to colorless non-artifact cards.
Or not
Eldrazi.
Not non-artifact, is it? No, artifact or colorless non-land cards.
Right. That's the yeah. It's
that's
weird.
what it
It's
is,
a
yeah.
weird extra clause, but it's incorrect to shortcut Mystic Forge to only work on artifacts.
Right, exactly.
It also works on Eldrazi.
Yes, it does. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, very cool. So that's a super fun way to get like some cool combat stuff going. Another fun thing to Deceiver of Form would have been like the Woodfall Primus. Now you don't get those enter the battlefield triggers, but if you attack with a ton of 6/6 tramplers, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And I did look this up. They all have persist. So even though they're copies of something with persist, they will come back as their original bodies with a -1/-1 counter. It still works. So all those ETBs, I mean, some of them will die on the spot, but we'll get all those ETBs all over again. So that's pretty good as well.
Pretty good, yeah.
I do like that.
If any of them die, yeah.
If any of them die. So we got a lot going on. A lot of little things, a lot of stuff like that. And we know what's on the top at most times. But sometimes we're just like, it's just not the right card. Why don't we cast Reality Scramble? I do love this card.
You love this
red,
card.
Red. I do. 2 red for a sorcery. I'm going to shortcut it.
Yeah, it's a lot of text.
So you spend 4 mana, and you pick a permanent that you own, and you put it on the bottom. Then you just flip down through your deck until you get a card that shares a card type. So if you get a creature, you're going to flip until you turn it into a new creature. If you do an artifact creature, it'll hit the first artifact or the first creature. It also works with lands if you cared to. So often we're like, well, I don't need this Treefolk anymore, so I'll Reality Scramble it away. And then maybe you'll hit something like a Pilgrim's Eye, right? A Pilgrim's Eye is that 3 mana artifact creature. It has flying, it's a 1/1, and when it enters the battlefield, you may search for a basic, put it into your hand. Reality Scramble has Retrace, so you can discard a land and flash it back for that price. Like the discarding a land is the cost. Pilgrim's Eye gave us that card, that land, so we'll just maybe cast another one on the Pilgrim's Eye, try to hit another creature until we get to our big creatures there. That is a fun little cycle we can go through to go with that. Since we're playing, sometimes we play lands off the top of our deck in this because of Rata and stuff, so we end up with extra lands in our hands. Like we're playing them from places besides our hand. So it's very common to be able to discard a land to this or other effects, which we'll get to.
Cool. Here's one we haven't seen for a long time. It's Possibility Storm. 3 red for the enchantment. This is a lot of text, but I'm just going to read it because I feel like it's going to explain it better than if I try to shortcut it. Whenever a player casts a spell from their hand, that player exiles it. Then exiles cards from the top of their library until they exile a card that shares a card type with it. That player may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Then they put all the cards exiled with Possibility Storm on the bottom of their library in a random order. So basically, when this card's on the battlefield, no one gets the spell they cast from their hand. Instead, they will get the next thing in their library that shares a card type with it. So if I cast an instant, I'm going to get a random instant from the top chunk of my, like whatever the next instant is in my library, for example.
It's a great card to kind of like screw up your opponent's game plans.
Yeah.
But if you'll notice, it only works when you cast a spell from your hand.
Correct.
Once we're set up, we don't need to cast stuff from our hands anymore, so we get to enact our exact game plan as intended, but our opponents don't. So
that is correct.
That's key. This is you don't want both of these at the same time, I don't think. These are both in here for redundancy for the same purpose. There's also Knowledge Pool. It's a 6 mana artifact and has imprint, so when it enters, everybody exiles 3 cards from the top of the library. And whenever anyone casts a spell from your hand, you exile it. And then if you do exile it, which you have to, you may cast another non-land card that has already been exiled with Knowledge Pool without paying their mana. Like, so you trade it up. It's like a Possibility Storm with you can predict what it is.
Yeah.
So your opponents can get a couple of cool things out of it. But again, we're not affected by that randomness or like fighting for the good spells and there's only ramp left over. We can still do our game plan by playing off the top.
Knowledge Pool is a little bit more of the controlled chaos.
Yes.
Right? Because you can see what's in the pool, and you can say, okay, I'll cast this 1-mana thing and get this giant other thing, right? Like, if you want. And this one doesn't have to be the same card type either, right? Like, this could just be anything.
That's right. That's right.
So you can pay, like, I don't know, you can trade a lightning bolt for a, I don't know, Ulamog or something. That's the dream.
True. It's true. It's
Right.
true. You'll know what's on top of your library before you cast it. Probably you should. So you can kind of make sure that you don't put at least one really juicy thing. I mean, there's plenty of scry effects. If we hit a Halimar Depths, we'll know what the top 3 cards
True.
we have are.
Yep.
So we can sometimes know, it's like, I'm not giving you anything good, so I'm happy to fire this off now.
I mean, yeah, they still might get something good from everyone else, right? Like,
It's true, but I mean that card, you can assume that card would have found its way to someone's hand anyway.
Right.
Only this way it's just a little bit crazier.
true. Yeah.
And then another way to help when those effects are going is Oracle's Vault. It's a 4-mana artifact. You can pay 2 to tap it to exile the top card of your library, and until the end of turn you can play it, and you put a brick counter down on the Oracle's Vault. And once you have 3 brick counters, you can just tap it and play the top card of your library for free. Another way to get around Possibility Storm Knowledge Pool, if we have that going on. It's very fun.
Very sweet. Like, this is so good, the deck. If you get the brick counters up there, rock and roll. Now you just get to get the first thing for free every time. That's all right.
Oh my god, and it works so well with like Huatao, where it's just like, oh, guess what? I'll put my Meteor Golem on top of my deck. I'll use the Oracle's Vault to like just cast it right away.
Wow.
Destroy something. Like, there's some, like, this deck has a lot of fun. There's a lot of, like, sometimes it can like hit an angle where you're like, oh, I got nothing, like everything on the top is not the thing I'm allowed to cast, so like that can suck. But there's the ceiling for fun shenanigans is very high with this one.
Oh man, I'm just like, is there a card that like lets you untap something and also like does something else? Like, of course there has to be something with Oracle's Vault and Huatao, like being able to untap 2 things or something. I don't know. Anyways.
Yeah.
Fun little combo there if you can get that working.
Yeah.
Any surprises or discoveries this time around?
There was. We care about what's on the top of the library, and like it's a cheap little instant reclaim. Haven't thought about this card. This card had exited my brain as my mental card library. It's a single green instant. Put target card from a graveyard on top of your library.
Decent.
It's decent. This is not the $10 version. There's one that you can do this with Phyrexian green, so basically 0 mana.
Right.
I think that one's like $10.
Right.
Obviously,
Noxious
that one goes in.
Claim or something, right? Or something like that.
Noxious. Yeah, there's a Noxious.
There's
part
a
of
Noxious part of it, yeah. Oh, that was like,
Noxious Revival.
Revival?
Yeah, Noxious Revival.
Revival, okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, no, this is just this is close to just being that card. It's close to being the 2-mana version that puts it in your hand. Like, this is good enough to run for a lot of decks, I'd say.
I think so. It's really good.
Good, yeah.
It's instant, so like you can just fire it off. It's like, well, I'd rather draw this card. It's very good. I want to do a quick shout out to the Discord people. This deck went through a few changes as we went through. Thanks to everyone for helping me like find some fun stuff. One thing that like you could run. Well, we'll get to that a little bit later. I want to thank everybody. Thank you to Chiefy, Hunter Bjork, Dan, Just Dan, Madisman, Spiff, Pips Don't Lie, Magic Sphere, Papadillo, Lol What, King Maverick, and Dylan PH. If I missed anybody who was in there, I'm sorry. I gotta tell you if you're not in our Discord, when we I was like, hey gang, here's what we're brewing around today. It is like a dog pile. Like, people are in there like, how about this? How about this? How about this? And sometimes, like, it'd be like, oh, I kind of set the tone. I was like, here's what we're working on. Think about it. I'm going to go have lunch, and then I'm going to be back at about 2 p.m., and we're going to brew this thing. I got back at 2, and I was like, okay, deck's done. Here's what it does.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, whoa, discard. We didn't go with that version of the deck. Well, let's just get to it, okay? Let's just get to it. Let's do the budget report, and I'll tell you all about it.
Okay, budget report time. Let's do it.
So the low on this deck through TCG, if you click that link, you can buy those cards. $57. The market value is $113. One thing that TCG is doing incorrectly is there's like a 30-cent commander reprint, but it is counting the $30 like original one
weird.
from presumably like, Portals or something.
Yeah.
So I don't know why, but like anyway, so like it says it's more than it is, but it's not even close to that because of that card. Do you want to save close to $10 on Riku? Just buy that oversized version.
Yeah.
Why not?
Why not?
Why not? What's wrong? Like, it's never going to be in your hand. It's never going to be in the library. It's going to be in your command zone or the battlefield. Use the oversized one. If your playgroup has a problem with that, send them to me.
Well, here's the thing: is like if it goes to your hand, like, who cares? You just hold it in your hand.
Well, we all use a different color sleeve for our commander at the very least.
Exactly.
So, like, it's not a secret anymore.
And if for some reason someone like Cyclonic Rift, so it all goes back to your hand, and then someone tries to like Thoughtseize you or something like that also doesn't matter because it going to the graveyard, you'd put it in your command zone anyway. So it never matters really.
Well, and then even for those of you who are like, well, what if someone like morphs it, right? And it's face down. It's like, guess what? A face down morph knows that it's your commander. Like, if your commander's face down, it still counts as your commander, so everyone knows. It's like, this does commander damage. So, like...
That's true.
You can't, there's no way to hide it. Like, so why bother? Why bother? Save yourself the money.
Yeah, that's true. Good call, yeah. And, I mean, if you're the type of person who doesn't want to play it just because you don't want the oversized card, well, then you're just not the type of person who's going to play it anyway, so it doesn't even matter, right?
There you go. It doesn't matter.
So if you don't care, try it out.
It's a great way to save a couple bucks. So you're saving almost $10 on Riku right here.
Did they make oversized of all of those? Of all of that original commander set?
They did. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They stopped they went down to only just the main one.
Yes, yeah, they did. Yeah. I have so many of those oversized commander cards. So I have the commander like boxes that like they come in inside the thing. Yeah. I basically have one of those that's like half full of stacked full commanders on it. It's so many of them.
I don't know what to do about them. Like where do you? Yeah, I got to do something with them.
We got to do something with them. Anyways, so can't get that oversized one. What are we talking about otherwise? What are we talking about here budget-wise?
Do you want to take the most expensive card in the deck otherwise?
Yeah, so we talked about Riku. So the most expensive card otherwise is Vivian, Monsters Advocate. We talked about this one. Yeah, she's the Ikoria Planeswalker that lets us look at the top of the library and we can cast creature spells and stuff. So $9 for Viv. This is a kind of a like we can get this ability from a couple of other sources, especially if you don't mind looking at having it be revealed. There's even more sources. So I don't know. What do you think? Like $9. It feels like it's pretty sweet that we get to look. That's the only real upside I can see. This is a pretty killable thing, though. You know what I mean? Like having it on a Planeswalker's tough.
And it's like that -2 is very threatening. I mean, that's why she's $9 because she's in standard right now. Right. She's very good. Yeah. Standard's about to rotate too, so like sometimes these Planeswalkers are like she's 9 now, but like she could go up to 30 if like the new rotation, if she's like a key player in a new deck or something. Yeah. So I don't know. You could cut her. We've got other ways to look at the top of the library. If you wanted to, we talked about, hinted at a budget breaker earlier, but Oracle of Moldiah obviously would go great in this deck. It helps get lands off the top because we're playing them off the top, but it does have that drawback of looking at the top, like it's revealed, which I don't love, but, go for it if you want to.
Yeah, this one, for sure is a great fit, but this is one of those cards that, yes, it was reprinted. Thank you. We'll just do a quick hashtag Wizards Thinks for reprinting this card. However, I don't know if you've been keeping up on any of the Jumpstart stuff. It has not changed the price of anything. And in fact, most of all the Jumpstart, like the new Jumpstart rares, are just obscenely costed. They're just incredibly expensive. And like Jumpstart has been released, right? Like in real life?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm sure of it. Yeah, I've
It
seen
has.
pictures.
But like, of course, the pandemic is occurring, so no one's really playing it at stores. So I guess that's affected the prices haven't moved for any of the
Yeah.
Jumpstart reprints. It's. I know I've been looking it up and being like, ooh, what can I order? Like, it's time to pick up some cheap stuff from Jumpstart. It's like, no, there's none. There's nothing. It's all the same price.
Terrible.
The Jumpstart reprint of Oracle is not even $1 less than the Zendikar one, which is, that was possibly going to happen anyways. I mean, not, depending on the type of set it's reprinted in, but you'd think you were going to see some amount of drop, right? Anyways,
You would think.
it's a bummer.
You would think. The other expensive card hints at a direction this deck. We did not delve so deep into this, but Aetherflux Reservoir. It's a 4-mana artifact. It's the Storm artifact. Whenever you cast a spell, gain a life for each spell you've cast this turn. That is going up and up and up. And then you pay 50 life to deal 50 damage to a creature or to any target. 50 damage to any target. So, obviously, we do have since we're casting off the top of our deck a lot, it's pretty easy to, like, cast a few cards in a turn. And also because, of course we're running Brainstorm. Those are little cantrippy little draw things that are also great for your storm count. It is not difficult to skew this deck way more into the storm direction. I didn't do that with this brew because this is a deck where I felt I wanted 200 cards. There's just so much cool stuff going on. But like the one storm card I am running is that I didn't look it up. I wasn't prepared to like bring it up in the notes per se, but there's a storm card that lets you tutor up a land and put it in your hand with storm.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I remember. I've seen that card.
And the beauty of that card is that even if we can get like 5 copies out of it, we can that's a pretty good thinning for future top of the deck stuff. But not only that, all of the copies go on the stack separately. So if we have precognition field, like we shuffle, search for one, put in our hand, and then whatever's on top, if it's an instant, we have an opportunity to cast it before we resolve the next copy of this thing. Real pain in the butt in real life to shuffle. Look,
a lot of triggers.
Nope, I'm going to shuffle again.
Yeah, that sucks. Yeah.
Okay, but I mean, it's possible.
Sure, yeah. Cool.
Super fun. This is a fun one. This is a deck for you if you like always being busy. There's lots to do. There's lots of like options, and you're like, oh, I don't like that option. Let's change the options. There's a lot going on.
So just to be clear, that price you said, that TCG low of like 60-ish, 50, high 50s, market 113, that includes the $30?
No,
it
that's
doesn't.
Adjusted.
Okay,
for
that's
the
adjusted.
Incorrectly priced.
Great.
$30. Yeah, so just over $50. But I mean, cut Aetherflux Reservoir, cut the Vivian. You're under $50, no problem.
Cool, great.
A moment for favorite cards.
Yes, favorite card. So I personally love myself a Ramunap Excavator. 2 and a green for the 2/3. You may play land cards from your graveyard. This ability is so strong. Even if you're not abusing it and making this the focus of your deck. I like including this in so many green decks. And like there's is it called World Shaper? Yeah, the one where you like whenever you attack with it, you mill and then it can die and return them all back. Both of those cards, like I'm getting to the point where I'm like, are these just good in every? Do I just want these all the time? Like, even if you're not running a lot of like fetch lands. Ramunap Excavator, if you're like us, you're playing budget style, like you can often just get if you're just doing Evolving Wilds and stuff. Maybe you're running the old fetches. I love the old fetches, the slow fetches. Those are great too. Like there's a lot of options to be had. You don't need to be, breaking the budget with a bunch of fetch lands to make this card good.
True.
Anything that mills at all, obviously, this is really great in too. What about you?
My favorite card, I'm going to pick Vivian's Arcbow. 1 and a green, legendary artifact. X, tap, discard a card. we've got a handful of lands off, so I'm probably going to discard a land. X, tap, discard a card. Look at the top X cards. Put a creature card that costs X or less onto the battlefield. The rest go on the bottom. It's another way to cycle stuff. It's also a convenient way if you're just like, ooh, I don't have Vivian out. I'm not allowed to cast this creature that's on the top of my deck, but I can discard a card and pay the exact same CMC as it, and then just put it onto the battlefield. With the added bonus that if it's 5, for example, you'd be like, oh, I'm going to leave the top 5, and be like, you know what? I like this other 5 better. So like
Sure.
you can possibly upgrade it if you want. Or just be like, I'm just going to dump all my mana and hit my Woodfall Primus if I can find it.
This card is cool too, because if you have like a control deck or like a permission thing in your meta, like Vivian's Arcbow gets around countering your creatures, which is cool.
You're not casting things. Yeah.
True. Yeah, well, very good. The last 2 weeks we're casting stuff off the top of our library quite a bit. I was gonna say Aetherflux Reservoir belongs in the deck from last week too.
Ooh, and I wanted to steal, I forget what it was. There's one off of your list. I was like, ooh, that's red. I can run that. I forget.
This is great. Yeah, well, I love it. This is a pretty different feel for a Temur deck too, you know? Like just when you think you have a handle on what the color combinations are doing, like this is a pretty different brew from Temur. This is cool.
And I didn't talk about what Riku does in the deck because he's kind of just there for the colors. Mm-hmm. And I tried to mention him because of his lower price because of the reprint.
Yep.
But all of these spells are just like, yeah, I'll take 2 if I've got the mana.
Yeah, sure.
Or I'll take 2 of these creatures, sure.
Yeah, and again, get into that Riku mindset where you're like, I'll wait a turn and then I can get both things. Don't do that.
Don't do it.
Don't get greedy. Just cast it. It's gonna be good.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks for watching, everyone. Always remember you can check out our sponsors. So check out wizardtower.com. If you're in Canada, you can use that coupon code, get a little slice off of your singles. If you're outside of Canada, check out TCG Player. Follow our affiliate link and buy any of the cards from this deck or anywhere else. Hello, Sarah. Sarah popping in at the end of the episode here.
I want to sing you guys out.
Oh, you want to sing us out? Okay, no problem. Let me finish with this for a second. TCG Player, follow the link, and you'll help support us directly that way because we'll get a little slice off anything you buy after you follow the link. Guys, it's been another great week. Love the deck. Thanks to everyone watching, listening, in the Discord, helping us brew. Sarah, take us out.
Magic is the best game around. There's so many different colors and characters. Andy and John love it so much they kiss their cards at night.
Really good. Do a theme song.
I think that should be our new theme song.
Thanks for watching. If you love what we're doing, consider supporting the show by going to patreon.com/commandersbrew.
And if you want to get any of the cards from our deck list, go to our TCG Player affiliate link below.
That helps us out too. And for a free way to help us out, consider sharing the show with some friends. Like and subscribe, add a comment or two.
See you later.
Bye.